the meeting. Sorry. I'll call the OVF Alliance Annual General Meeting to order. And so I just wanted to give kind of a brief welcome and kind of go over a couple of successes and our challenges for the coming year. So I wanted to give a big thanks first to all of our coaches and staff. They just provide a whole lot of effort and kind of meaningful engagement for all of our players and families and kind of creating the community that we have here within the club. And I want to also thank you, all the families and players that participate in our club. It's because that you are here is the reason why we do what we do. I also want to thank my fellow board members, committee members, team managers, and other volunteers, because it's due to this large collective of people that we're able to pull off the things that we do in the first place. And then also thanks to Tyler for stepping in last year as president of OVF, and then now his transition to working with the OISA board as well, which hopefully will also provide us a conduit to kind of really recent information that's coming out of OISA as far as how it will impact our club and operations and things that are happening statewide. And so kind of having a line on that and that connection will definitely benefit our club. And so that's kind of the reasoning. If you didn't keep up with some of the emails as far as why I transitioned into the position, and I have been here for kind of just shy of 2 months, so kind of still getting used to being in the president position. But continuing to seek feedback from anybody. So coaches, players, families, anyone, if you have anything that you think we should know about, either myself or please reach out to a board member or any staff member. Just want to kind of keep that open communication going and provide a conduit of information for anything that you are observing that you think might need attention. And of course, we always want to hear about the good things as well. And then just a little bit of my background, I have spent some time as a board in other previous board positions. One is as a school board chair and director for the Central and School District for a while. So I have spent some time kind of leading boards in the past before. And so now I'll just kind of jump to some successes for the club this last year. We had a number of teams that made it into tournament play in the Founders and Presidents Cup. And so just kind of things that are sanctioned by OASA in general, as well as success winning or placing on the podium for other organized tournaments as well over the last year. So I think we're building some really good momentum in the competition part of the club. And this is due to the more developed slate of experienced coaches that Blake has been trying to bring on, and all the people that kind of work with him, bringing more experienced coaches into the club, and then also providing training to the coaches that we already have to kind of enhance their abilities. And this will help us improve not only our technical and tactical skills, but address aspects of kind of club culture as well. Other successes are we have streamlined the calendar, and so that's been available now on the website for a while. There's a Google Calendar that kind of provides a good whole year overview of what we're doing as a club and kind of what some of the seasonality of what your players might be doing and some of those dates so that you can have those well ahead of time. And then kind of another success, I think, is that we had a board retreat in January. And so we were able to kind of drill down on some of the most important issues that the board was trying to have some deeper conversation on. And one of those was examining the financial health of the club. And so part of that was the beginning of some of the emails that you guys received this week as far as kind of the restructuring of the fees and also the programming that I think Blake and Bryce will get into a little bit later. And then as far as challenges and opportunities, I know some of the feedback I received is communication. So I think that's probably always something any organization needs to just continually work on and improve as kind of the members are dynamic and some of the things that we're doing as a club change. But again, please provide feedback on where you think maybe specific targeted communication needs to be. We also brought the Stack app online, and I know there was a bit of a rough start with that, but hopefully that's providing a really good means of communication more specifically to your teams and kind of the more day-to-day operations for things that are going on in the club. And we are working on club-wide communication and getting out information better, social media as well. And so as a board, we've been developing a communications committee. And so hopefully you'll be seeing some of those announcements about camps and other things like that be coming out through and using social media and email a little bit more with that. We also have continued investment in training and development of coaches, which is going to trickle down in the product that you see on the field, and trying to be as competitive as possible with each team, while also addressing pieces around the more holistic development of players, such as social and communication skills. Again, a challenge, moving forward still is to develop a sustainable budget and make something that, we can focus on using the fees that we're collecting to sustain existing programming, and kind of moving to using the grants, camps, and other additional funding that we might receive throughout the year to expand kind of on what we're doing as a core concept already. And so with that kind of brief introduction, I'll hand it over to Blake.
Okay, thanks. So we have a little bit of limited time, so there's a lot to talk about, and I'll try to go through things fairly quickly. One of the challenges that I faced a year and a half ago when I took over for Logan was just trying to get our club continuing to go forward with things, and I felt like we had a USL program that was doing great stuff, and we were hitting some high marks on our older ages, but our younger teams weren't getting quite the support that I thought we could provide. And that's not a criticism of anybody. It's just that we needed to get a little bit more deeper dive. So some of the things I've done in my past time when I was working with Corvallis United back in the early 90s and all throughout the 90s was we had age group coordinators. And so the thought was to try to get some guys that are experienced, that have coached in our community, but also have done really good things in the community to start the HE structure and to provide coaches and teams, players more support, and also to be able to communicate a little bit better. Having one technical director trying to cover 500-600 players is just really difficult. So I felt like our AGC product when we started made big impacts right away. Our teams this fall compared to the previous fall, I think 2 falls ago, we were at a negative 300 goal differential for all of our teams in the fall of 2022. And this last year, we had teams doing very well. I think we had very few teams that were actually losing games, very many games at least. And so the goal differential went up and our winning went up, but also just the positivity pieces. So shout out to the AGCs that have been working really hard to try to communicate with not only the players and coaches, but also just making sure that the sessions every day are going in the right direction, and that we're working on a foundational piece to allow our teams to grow, but also the players individually to grow. And they've done a really good job of communicating with the coaches, and hopefully you've seen some communication from them individually to you too as parents. And that's something that we're going to hopefully continue. So for next year, we're going to really try to work on a vertical integration through the club. So we're just trying to get a foundation laid about speed of training, holding kids accountable, asking them to work really hard in sessions. The sessions are faster and more enjoyable, and I think that's happened. But now we're going to try to work on getting a vertical integration through the club. So not necessarily every team's going to play the same, but there's going to be similar things that you should hopefully see in our teams as this next year progresses. That, we always talk about purposeful possession in our club, but there are very few teams around that can actually have possession all the time. So things like, defensive principles and attacking principles, we're going to try to get those all the way through the club. And different formations, not necessarily important, but just principles about how we go about our business is super important. So that's going to be a big part of what we're doing. So you'll start hearing terminology about vertical integration. So hopefully when you go out and see a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old, you might see a lot of similar things that are starting to happen. So that's a process of 3 to 4 years. And so it's going to take time to do that, but we're going to make some pretty good strides on that, I think, this year. Continue to improve the club coaching. We have 4 coaches that are going to be going to the C license this May, and part of it's in Albany, so that's pretty exciting. We're also looking to do some more grassroots clinics in our area, as well as sending some more coaches to D license. So we're seeing some improvement in the education of our coaches, and I think that's pretty important. We're also, I'm in the midst of getting another couple of coaches from outside our community to come in. I'm very excited about them. And we hope to have them at tryouts this May. And they're coming from the Salem area, which is really great to hear. And they've done a really nice job with the teams there. So we're pretty excited about that. So working hard to hire more coaches that are professional coaches. So part of the fee structure that we're talking about is going to support some money for coaches to come in that have a little bit more experience and can help move the groups quicker. And also that stuff will bleed down to all the teams and all the players. So pretty excited about that piece. And then the technical restructure of the club. So pre-high school, we've been doing a 2-year academy program, and that's kind of a leftover from the USL system that we had 2 to 3 years ago. And we were just using that this last year with the 2-year age group just because of numbers, and also at 9v9, not a lot of kids on each team, right? So we're trying to make sure that we expanded the pool. And we've had some success. Our teams went up to Pac Northwest, the 2010s and the 2012 academy teams went up and won their Pac Northwest tournament, which is pretty awesome. So that was a real good success, and Rube's done a really nice job with that. The management piece for us as a staff is so much more than what we're doing with the older teams. So the high school teams are all Navy teams or academy teams, and they're going to travel. So in an effort to streamline our work so that we could actually progress our teams a little bit more and run a little bit smoother club, and also just in general be a little bit more efficient with stuff. We're going to go to Navy teams all the way from the NINA side. So next year will be the 2014 or 14s all the way up to the 2006s. Those Navy teams will act as academy teams, so they'll go to Pac Northwest if the teams decide to do that. Our issue is trying to find ways to get guys like Rube Peterson still involved, and so I'm talking to Rube about him still being involved next year, and also continuing to go on the spring. But the idea is to, again, give these Navy teams a little bit more training. So when you see the fee structure, the Navies are going to be charged a little bit more, partly because they're going to be training a little bit more. They have state cups. They start a little bit earlier in January of the calendar year. And also they're going to be going to some higher competitions. So the fee is going to be reflective in those pieces of their, training schedule. It's not going to be 3 days a week all the time because there's periodization in the year, but there will be times before Pac Northwest tournament, before state cup, that they'll get some more training times. And then the other piece that we did last summer, we had the Navy teams and white teams, and in fact, Burgundy teams training together in the age group pools. So in the summer, we'll be doing that, doing a lot of technical work with all the kids in those groups, and small game tactic type stuff. So excited about that piece as well, because we saw big success with the white teams. They got exposed to better players, but also just a different training piece, and then that the coaches grew as well. So pretty excited about that part for the summer. And again, we'll start that again right after tryouts. And then let's see here. The next piece is I want to talk about is our relationship with SCA. Maybe not many of you are familiar with that, but SCA is Second Chance Academy that we formed a relationship with 2 years ago in an effort to combine forces, especially with some of our age groups, to be able to travel, to give our kids some different experiences. And we had some good success on that. But we've also had some not so good successes for some. So some kids had a great experience and some kids didn't have a great experience. And so after our discussions with SCA, a lot from their side and a little from our side is that we're going to be discontinuing that relationship going forward in a formal role. That doesn't mean we're still not going to be friendly and be nice to each other and share players here and there to go to tournaments and still have we still have a great relationship with them, but they're going to be going to just OASA play along with travel. So something very similar to us. So we can't really necessarily share players, but we can certainly, if they wanted to go to Europe or something and we wanted to help them along with a couple players, they could do that. So same thing with us. We're going to some tournaments that they're not going to. We need some players. We'll probably work with them to borrow players. But as of this May, we're going to be done with them. And there's other reasons for that. From an admin standpoint, Bryce was spending a whole lot of energy and time registering their players and dealing with a lot of player issues from their side and other things that just made it difficult for us and for them as well. So again, it's not a negative thing as far as our relationships with them, but just as far as operation of the club. I also think from our girls' standpoint, so on the girls' side, the restructuring of the girls' side, I haven't talked to all of our girls coaches. I've been working on doing that, but we're working on going to just a community-based program again and really trying to drill down with really good coaches that we have in the program, but adding a few more to give them an experience that is, 2 to 3 practices a week. If they're doing a high school for high school kids, if they're doing high school programs or doing basketball or something, they can still be local, still train, and still play games through ISA. And we'll still be going to places like Pac Northwest when we can. We have teams that are interested and have enough players to do that, and also some other tournaments depending on team focused. So one of the things that is pretty dear to my heart is that if there are teams and age groups that are wanting to go to Pac Northwest, great. If there's teams that want to go to, I don't know, Dallas Cup or somewhere else, and we can get our heads around that, we're not going to say no to things. We're going to try to help teams and players within our community go to places where they want to go. So with that, the girls structure, we're going to go to Navy and white systems just like the boys. We may combine age groups. It'll be based on age and ability. And so that's something that we're going to continue to talk about. So with all these things that I'm talking about, Jim talked about communication. So the AGCs we're working on, and we'll get the stuff out either Wednesday or Thursday, about age group and gender meetings. So 2013 girls will have a meeting with their AGC in the next week and a half to talk about rosters, tryouts, tournaments, fees, questions that you have, and just try to really drill down and get more information out. So we're excited about that. So be expecting an email from us with a time. It'll be a Zoom meeting to discuss anything you want, and also for us to lay out a program that we think is good for your age group and your team, and just go through those things and try to explain as much as possible about what our goals are for the club, what our goals are for each age group, and then also where we see the age group in general, and where we think they should be going. So, and it'll be, if there's a white, Navy, and a burgundy team, all those players will be invited to that meeting. So we're really excited about that, and we'll probably continue to do that once before every season. So that, for instance, we're going to do a fall season, and then the winter we'll probably get together in January again and do the same thing, just to talk and be available to everybody about information and answering questions. Tryouts this year, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 weeks of tryouts again. We did that last year, and we felt like it was pretty necessary. There's a lot of very good players, and a lot of players at the tryouts. Last year was a little bit difficult with space, so we're adjusting our spacing so that we have enough space for the kids to really be able to play and play during the whole time that they're there. And so tryouts will take place in May, and I think all that information has gone out to everybody. And again, we can talk about details about the tryouts in our meetings with the age groups, but our hope is once tryouts are done, we'll get information out to the kids within 48 hours and looking for acceptances, and we'll probably call some players as well just to talk to them and families. So again, we want to be really transparent and try to make sure that we're talking to everybody about those situations. One of the tricky things is the coaching slate. Because we're bringing in some new coaches and because we have parent coaches, we're going to do our best to put out a coaching slate prior to tryouts. But some age groups may not have a coach assigned, and we'll address that in our meetings the next 2 weeks with everybody in those age group meetings. But our hope is to have a name on each team, but that may not happen depending on whether we have a coach that I still haven't agreed to terms with, or we have a parent coach that we don't know where his or her child may land, right? So we just don't want to predetermine where coaches are going to be if they're coaching in the age group their son or daughter in. What else? A couple other really exciting things. Jason Hauer has worked with the OSU coaches to set up a college-bound webinar, and that's going to be on April 9th. That stuff's gone out to everybody. One of the things that I know from my experiences, but I can talk till my face is blue, but I think that OSU coaches will talk about is that if you're driving further than your training time is, that it's probably not the best interest of your family or your child to go those distances. So and what we're saying is that they're going to drive all the way to Vancouver, Washington to go for training day in and day out to play there. It's probably not in the best interest of them, and it won't really make a difference for college stuff. So those are the kind of things that I think it's important for people to go to these meetings to hear these guys that have done this. Some of those little messages that they have. So I'd encourage you to go to those meetings. With that, there was some brainstorming that went on that we're also talking about bringing in former players or other college students to give webinars every month or two. So that's something that's on our plate now, that we're going to start bringing players that are currently playing in college that played for OVF, or players that have graduated. Some players are even playing professionally that have been in our area. So we're going to keep working on these kind of programs to give a different view and have players and families ask these folks that have been part of our community questions about what we're doing, and for college plans or even professional plans for everybody. And the last little bit I had is the fee structure. I know that we're right now, and I think Jen may have addressed this, but we're in the midst of finalizing fees and the budget and everything. We hope to have, I know the fees structure has kind of gone out, but we're really working on trying to nail down the last little bit of our structure, and hopefully that'll be out next week. I think that's all I have. And again, look, the biggest thing is look for us to be sending everybody information on the age group meetings. I'll try to be as many of those as possible. And of course, that's a place for you to ask questions, do a deep dive on whatever it is you guys want to talk about. We're happy to do that. I think that's it for me. And I think, Bryce, you're up next, right?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Blake.
Yep.
So I want to provide just a brief overview of the operations of the club from the last year. So last year, we transitioned from Sports Engine to Sports Connect, and we are still going strong with Sports Connect. A lot of reasons we changed over to this new software, the biggest being that it's a direct link between our club software and OISA software, saving about 90% of our admin's time shuffling information to and from the state association. It also provides us a lot of different avenues for advertising, for tournament management, for all kinds of things. So that's just a bit of context on why we switched, but I do want to report that switch has gone very well, and it's helped our administrative team out quite a bit, helping manage groups, send emails, all kinds of aspects of the club have been streamlined because of that. Now, there's been some hiccups that come with any software, any kind of change that we've been working through. And I'm pleased to be able to say that we've worked through most of those kinks and have created a new registration system that's a little bit more robust, a little bit more streamlined than last year. And in that same vein, as we switched to Sports Connect, their communication app, Stack Team app, definitely had some bugs in the beginning. And for context, it was a new acquisition that Sports Connect had made, but over the course of the year, through a lot of help on our part, a lot of feedback that we've given them, a lot of support calls, all kinds of things that our staff have been doing to work with them directly has helped push their progress forward. And in the next 6 to 8 months, a lot of the issues that we've been seeing will either cease to exist because the interface is changing or will be greatly improved. We've seen some great improvements so far, and we've learned a lot about how to work out some of the issues. And so I'm very optimistic about how things look moving forward. The Stack Team app will continue to get easier to use and will continue to be much more useful to us than it has been, than it was early on. And with Sports Connect, I continue to be optimistic that it's going to continue to help the administration of the club run smoothly. There are a few things that we've been developing on our website, tools, resources for parents and coaches to use. I want to briefly show a couple of those. So let me share my screen so you can all see. Hopefully everybody can see this page. Blake, we good to go? Can you see that? Okay. So this page is a screenshot of one of the pages on our website. If we come to the top bar, everybody will have access to this resources tab. And the parents and coaches tab has been accessible for a year, but we've been building it. It's been improving and growing. And we're really excited for a lot of the things that we've been able to add recently and a lot of things we've been able to update. So the first thing I wanted to point out to everybody is, hold on, we're going to move. There we go. We have added a lot of calendar information. So we've added an overview for the next 16 months of important dates and schedules that are happening for everyone in the club that have been color coordinated. And there's a lot of information on there, but we're really excited that we've been able to put this together and plan out for the next 16 months. Now, because we've been able to do that, we've been able to also develop 4 calendars specific to the age groups that your players may be in. The first 2 calendars are pretty similar. The U11 to U14 and U15 to U19 seasonal calendars show a basic breakdown of what to expect year to year in general times of the year. Tryouts, the first and second week in May, and this is when we're going to be doing these tournaments, etc. I'll show you in just a moment after explaining the next couple ones. But the annual calendar explains the specific dates for the next 16 months. These seasonal calendars will show you the breakdown from year to year with general timelines. Same with the U10 program. We have a U10 seasonal calendar that coincides with the annual calendar. Also, this one with general dates, so it applies year to year. And then this calendar will also hopefully help the U15 8th grader seasonal calendar will help those players that find themselves each year in the U15 age group. And the U15 age group every year has a split between 8th graders and high schoolers, which means that they fall between the U11 and U14 group and the U15 and U19 group. So hopefully this seasonal calendar for the 8th graders explains what you should be expecting if your kid is a U15 player, not in high school. So all this information is available on the website. You can definitely go and check all that out. I highly encourage you guys to do so. And if you have questions, you can definitely reach out to me and I can help explain. So just to provide, we're going to look at this one first. We'll look at the annual calendar. So it's a spreadsheet with all the different dates that are upcoming. We've got our AGM. This is where we are today. So if you click on any of the tabs, you're able to see the note of what specifically it is. Everything's color coordinated with a legend down at the bottom. We've got our U8 Rec League beginning this Wednesday. We've got Spring Cups beginning. So if there's anything specific to this year or the next year as well, we have dates input as far in advance as we possibly can. We're waiting for some information from OISA, from Adidas. Anyway, we're waiting for information to fill out that calendar, but as far as we can, we've planned that well in advance. Information about tryouts, etc. So there is that accessible to everybody to view and to start planning times around training, times around summer camps, etc. And then briefly wanted to show at least one of these examples. This is what a seasonal calendar looks like. We provide the month and then generally what to expect in those months year to year. So this calendar will not change year to year unless we change what the structure of these age groups look like. So in May, every year tryouts are going to happen the first and second week in May. We'll have team formation, which happens the Wednesday following tryouts, and then training starts Monday after tryouts end. So this kind of general calendar allows us to know what to expect year to year and allows you guys to be able to say, okay, this is generally what we should be looking for and what we should be expecting. Beyond the calendar pieces, there are options to check out gear. We've got coolers, we have canopies, we have training equipment that coaches can check out, and parents, especially team parents, can help work with the coaches to check these kinds of equipment out. So this resources tab is going to be a very powerful tool for you guys moving into the next season, providing all kinds of calendar information, all kinds of information about financial support, fundraising, donations, etc. Other things that we have going on, we have a new volunteer work exchange program that we're developing. So we will be announcing more information on that soon. We have new opportunities for fundraising. So look for those if you are interested in a scholarship, but the scholarship isn't quite enough, or you don't apply or you don't qualify for a scholarship, there are fundraising opportunities for individuals or for teams to take on, and that can be found on the website under the fundraising tab. And then we also have this work exchange program that we're developing, and will be available for anybody to sign up for and volunteer their time, either as a parent or as a player, to work off some of their fees. So there are a lot of exciting opportunities that we are bringing to our players and our families to help make the club experience easier to access. Now, we try to make it easy to access by keeping our fees lower than pretty much everybody else in the area, and providing scholarships, but that's often not enough. And so we want to provide these extra opportunities to fundraise and to get a work exchange system going. So if you have more questions about those, you're definitely able to reach out. Those will be coming, the work exchange program will be coming in the future. Fundraising options are up and available on the website. The only other two things that I want to really hit on is we have a big announcement. It's been coming up here and there, but we do want to officially announce that starting this season, we're going to be moving to Adidas as our official uniform vendor. We will no longer be with Puma and using soccer.com. We'll be using Tercy Soccer up in Portland as our local vendor. So when we order our gear, our equipment, it'll all be Adidas gear now, and we'll be able to order that and have it ready for us through Tercy, rather than waiting a month and having soccer.com ship it to us. So we're really excited about this change. We're really excited to be now working with Adidas and with Tercy, and hopefully the future holds a lot of really awesome, promising opportunities for that partnership. And the last thing I want to hit on is looking to the future. We have some good opportunities that we've been starting to develop and starting to be involved in. Our partner, the YMCA, has shown a lot of interest in partnering with us more than just on the fields, but really getting involved in developing programming with OVF to get more kids involved in soccer on a recreational level. So starting this week, we have our U8 or our U7, U9 rec program starting in Albany that we have joint partnership in with the YMCA. We're really excited about this opportunity because hopefully it helps build our recreational base and our funnel into bringing more kids up into the program. Overall health of the club really will improve as this kind of recreational programming takes off. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And the last thing is we have a grant from OYSA to run in-service days for free for kids at some of the elementary schools in the area. So we have plans to start that this coming week, and we'll be hitting different elementary schools, providing a free soccer experience for these kids during these in-service days. So a lot of really wonderful opportunities in the future, a lot of really cool partnerships that are starting, that are forming. And like Jen and Blake said, we are working to streamline our communication, provide a lot of transparency, and provide as much information as we can to not just make our jobs easier, but to make your experience as parents and players that much better. Providing you opportunities to get access to a quality experience, not just quality soccer, but a quality organization. That's all I have to share as far as the administrative and operational updates go. So Jen, back to you.
Hey, thanks, Blake and Bryce. And so I'll end with just a couple quick announcements. And so I think you saw on the calendar, tryouts are May 6th through 16th. And then team formation meeting following May 22nd. And then we have our first ever 3v3 tournament that will be running in June, Saturday, June 8th. And so information is up on the website for how to register for that. So you can go ahead and click on off our main website over to that and see more information. And so I apologize, our Zoom meeting is limited to 40 minutes, just the way the format that we have, but I will open it up for questions from anybody at this point. And if you also want to use the chat to drop a question in there, that's fine too. All right, well, I'm not hearing anything, so I want to thank everybody for coming and attending. And again, if you have follow-up questions from this meeting, the AGCs will be holding those meetings, as Blake had mentioned. And again, if you want to follow up with any board members, coaches, anyone else, please reach out and continue to ask your questions so you get all the answers that you need. But thanks again for being part of our organization, and we'll see you out on the field.
Thank you.